Welcome all wonderful ladies to the platform of Begums of Bhopal, and thank you so much for sparing your precious time to attend this session on the wonderful journey by the India's dinosaur Princess Aaliya Babi. And I know you all are very curious to know how and when she has started this wonderful journey. And I also welcome Via and Farha, who have lineage with the Bhopal Royals. So it is a महफिल है बेगमों की, and I hand over this to Farah. Farah, you please moderate this session, and let's start with.
Thank you, Raksha, and thank you for this amazing opportunity and to enable us to, we've had a few discussions, you, me, and Alia, and I'm so grateful to you and the Begums of Bhopal to allow us to speak about this. And Alia has very graciously accepted the invitation, and I'm really, really excited today to have her here in a Zoom meeting. And Alia, welcome. And so nice to see you all, lovely, lovely ladies. So thank you, Princess Aaliya, for taking time out and speaking with us this afternoon. I have really been excited about your talk, and there's so much to learn from you. So Aaliya, you are the Times of India Power Woman of 2019. Tell us about your superpower.
Well, at the onset, first and foremost, I would like to thank the Begums of Bhopal and Raksha and Farah for giving me this platform to interact with you and talk about a subject which is very close to my heart. And as most of you know, or even if you don't know, I would just like to say that, yes, I have been associated with this fossil park at Balasinor in Gujarat since the past 26 years now. And I am the daughter of the Nawab Sahab of Balasinor. And I'm fondly called Dr. Dinosaur or Princess Dinosaur because of my work with the Dinosaur Fossil Park here. I call myself an amateur paleontologist and also a guardian and custodian for the fossils of the dinosaurs. So I have played a very crucial role here. And when you talk of, being a power woman, I don't know if I had that power in me initially. Because, when I came back from school, I studied in a boarding school. I studied in Sophia Convent in Mount Abu. So when I came back to Balasinor, which is a small little town in Gujarat, a very orthodox town, and I also belong to a slightly orthodox family. But at the same time, my parents were very liberal. They felt that education is very important for even a girl child. And talking of being like a power woman, I don't know where I got this power from, but at the same time, I feel that it was my parents who gave me this power. Especially my mother. She came from a slightly liberal family, which is from Palanpur, North Gujarat. And she, even at that time, felt that education is very important. So, yes, the education helped us quite a lot. And I owe it to my school, to my education, to my upbringing in the school also, which helped me in my endeavor for this Dinosaur Fossil Park. And it was a very long and a very arduous struggle because here I was actually literally fighting against 3 departments of the government. So this was like, and you know how it is. And here I had to convince these officials, I had to convince the government that this site is important for us and everyone. When I used to go with applications, I used to be told, why do you want to protect this place? Why do you want to protect these rocks? What is there? यहाँ पे कौन आएगा? आपका तो एक छोटा सा गांव है, यहाँ कौन tourist आएगा? These were the answers that I was being given, and they were not at all helpful. But I think there was that inbuilt energy in me. There was this inbuilt, thing in me that no, I'm not going to give up. I just I didn't want to give up. And I just went ahead with it, no matter all the setbacks that I was getting. But I think I was very persistent in my efforts. And 26 years down the line, you see the Dinosaur Fossil Park at Balasinor has a fantastic museum, which is one of its kind in the whole country, which was inaugurated by our Honorable CM last year. And today, that site is visited by tourists from all over the world. So जहाँ पे बोला जा रहा था कि यहाँ कौन आएगा, आज वही जगह पे दुनिया से हर एक बंदा आ रहा है. In 6 months since we inaugurated the museum, we had more than 92,000 tourists, and it's a recorded number, which is quite amazing. Which is quite amazing for a small little village like Balasinor, small little village of Raiyoli, which is where the fossil site and the museum is, where we actually, in the earlier days, we didn't even have a road. So I remember when I used to go in the earlier days, it used to take me 1 hour to reach that park. Today we have a fantastic road which just takes us 15 minutes to reach it. And today they are making a 2-lane road there. You have a museum which has all the facilities. It's a fantastic museum, as I mentioned. So anyone who loves dinosaurs, they visit it. I'm trying to promote something which is called dino tourism. You have temple tourism, you have beach tourism, you have wildlife tourism, and all kinds of tourism. So I've created something called dino tourism, because no matter what, all of us, whether it's a small child or an adult, I think all of us love dinosaurs, especially after the movies. We all are fascinated by them. So there is that thing, okay, let's talk about them. And yes, these dinosaurs are a very wonderful creatures once we start getting to know them. So yes, today I don't know what was that energy within me, but there was something which didn't make me, give it all up. Yes, there were instances when I felt that, okay, enough is enough. Ab mujhe kuch nahi karna, I'm fed up, I'm tired. वो कह रहा है ना कि I was literally banging my head against these very rocks. तो बहुत सा ऐसा टाइम आया कि मुझे लगा कि let's give it all up. But the next day फिर से उठ के I was back to work. And today, yes, all the accolades that I get, all the compliments that I get for what I've achieved. I think I owe it all to a lot of people who have been instrumental for giving me that energy, especially my parents, my family, my sisters, my friends, some of my colleagues. It was very difficult also to convince, these geologists also that I am interested in this subject, because I'm a humble student of English literature. I had never studied paleontology or geology. So जहाँ पे मैंने, Romeo Juliet, Merchant of Venice पढ़ा था, all of a sudden my life took a 360-degree turn and I started learning about Gondwana land, Pangea, dinosaurs, vertebrae, tibia, fibula. All these were terms which were like technical terms for dinosaurs. तो पहले तो सब सर के ऊपर से जाते थे, but धीरे-धीरे वो मैं सीखने लगी. लेकिन you had to take the help of the learned people, that is the paleontologists. तो initially इनको लगा कि ये शायद ये bored princess है जिसको दुनिया में शायद कोई और काम नहीं है, तो ये अपना time pass कर रही है, तो they didn't bother much with me. But when they saw that I was quite serious about it, they were very much helpful to me. So there was the likes of Dr. Ashok Tahani, जो लखनऊ से है. So he recently has been awarded the Lifetime Achievement Award मिला है उनको. So he's my mentor, he's my guru. He's always helped me with all my questions, all my doubts and everything. Dr. Suresh Srivastav भी है जो जयपुर में है. So these are very senior most paleontologists who have worked a lot for paleontology in India. And so these are the very people who I think have given me that power to do what I strive to do. And I think I owe it to all of them. So I think, Times of India was very, it's a big thing for me to get this award from Times of India, that they gave me this Power Women 2019 award.
Yeah, incredible. That's really wonderful to hear. And incredibly, dinosaur species were discovered in your backyard. So please do tell us more about the dinosaurs, how the dinosaurs were discovered.
So see, in the 1980s, we had 2 geologists who were from the Geological Survey of India. They were here on a systematic mapping mission, during various times they do the systematic mapping and they search for mineral deposits and all. So these 2 geologists were here and they found some fossilized remains and eggs of the dinosaurs here on the surface level. And at the same time, we also had a cement quarry here. So the villagers, the laborers used to generally dig for limestones and all. So during when they used to dig for the limestones, they used to find these round limestone balls of this size, round limestone balls. So they did not know what they were. So they used to collect it, and they were finding it by the dozens.
Wow.
So they go and give it to the mine manager, and what the mine manager did, he lined his office windowsill with it, and जितने बढ़ते गए वो they used it to line the garden pathways. Okay, so they were being used as decorative pieces for the garden pathways. So at that time, we had one of the geologists who picked up one of this decorative piece of rock, and he took it to Ahmedabad, where Dr. Ashok Sahani was actually in Ahmedabad for a conference. And Ashok Sahani को बताया कि सर ये identify कीजिए कि ये क्या चीज है. So Dr. Sahani ने बोला कि ये तो डायनासोर का अंडा है.
Wow.
So imagine those dinosaur eggs were being used as decorative pieces for garden pathways, and they were also decorating the windowsills of the mine manager. So that is how the dinosaur eggs got discovered in Balasinor. उसके बाद एक टीम आई थी और इन्होंने यहाँ पे तकरीबन 400 से ज़्यादा हड्डियाँ डिस्कवर की. They excavated, which they took it to Jaipur. And in Jaipur, they were studied by Indian as well as American paleontologists from University of Chicago and Michigan. And in 2003, they announced to the world that the bones that they have found were actually bones belonging to both herbivore and carnivore dinosaurs. Means they were bones of both vegetarian as well as non-vegetarian dinosaur. So you see, in dinosaur language, we don't call them vegetarian and non-vegetarian. We call them sauropods and theropods. These are two new terms which you people can also use it now with, So sauropod is basically a herbivore dinosaur and theropod is a carnivore dinosaur. So after that, in 2003, when they announced, the interesting thing was that the 400 bones that they found, more bones were of a herbivore dinosaur, less bones were of a carnivore. But carnivore bones were more interesting because they found a brain case, a jaw with teeth, and a horn. And on the basis of these 4-5 pieces, they managed to make a nearly complete skull. And this was the skull of a carnivore dinosaur. And it was discovered for the first time in India. And because of the horn on its head, which looked like a crown, they decided to give it a name very much befitting to our region and very much befitting to that particular dinosaur. So they gave it the name Rajasaurus narmadensis. So Raja literally means king. So because of the horn on its head, which looked like a crown, they gave it a name Rajasaurus narmadensis. Narma means because of the river Narmada. Because the bones were found on the banks of the river Narmada, चाहे वो गुजरात में मिले थे या चाहे आपके मध्य प्रदेश में मिले थे, क्योंकि राजासोरस के अवशेष मध्य प्रदेश में भी काफी मिले हैं. In fact, you'll be very surprised to know that the first fossil of a dinosaur ever found in India was from Jabalpur in 1828.
Wow.
Oh. Just 4 years after the first fossil was discovered in England. And that was the first fossil in the whole world in England. And just 4 years after that, the first fossil got discovered in India from Jabalpur. And that was the first fossil discovered in Asia. And उस वक्त जो term dinosaur है, वो भी that also wasn't penned down. So the term dinosaur got penned down very much later. That was in approximately 1849. So you see, we have a very rich paleontology history, which most of us are not aware of. India is very rich in paleontology history. Talking of another dinosaur which was discovered from here, that also was a carnivore dinosaur. And that was only found from Balasinor, only found from the village of Raiyoli. So they gave it a name, Raiyolisaurus gujaratensis, which is very befitting to the village from where it was found, very befitting to Gujarat. And these both were carnivore dinosaurs. So I call them my loving Gujju dinosaurs. These were not Yeah, these were not found anywhere else in the world except for Balasinor, Gujarat.
Wow.
Of course, we had a vegetarian dinosaur also, which was a titanosaur, which were these huge, long-necked dinosaurs that most of you must have seen. Also, another famous discovery from Balasinor was of a nest of eggs. Because you see, we have found so many eggs over the years that today the Balasinor dinosaur site is considered to be the world's third largest hatchery. The first one is in Aix-en-Provence in France. Second is Mongolia. And the third one is in Balasinor, Gujarat. So we feature in the top three. So in the earlier 80s, we had discovered a nest of dinosaur eggs, the geologists had discovered. And very interestingly, in that nest, there were fossilized bones of another animal. So the geologists assumed that it is probably a mother dinosaur or a father dinosaur. Or in the worst scenario, it could have been a predator dinosaur. But after a lot of research which took place in the University of Chicago and Michigan, in 2010, they announced to the world that this was actually a 3.5 meter snake, which had coiled itself around the nest of eggs. And it was just about to pounce on the hatchling, that is a baby dinosaur which had just popped out of the egg. And at that moment, they had floods because dinosaurs generally used to lay their eggs near a water body. So the whole nest, along with the baby dinosaur and the snake, got washed away, and it got buried under a debris of rocks and sand, and it got preserved for life. And it got discovered 65 million years later in the same position that it got buried in. So imagine just a small little fossil is giving you the whole story as to how the eggs were laid, how the snake came about to eat it, and it was not able to do so, and it met its death. So this fossil was discovered from Balasinor. It's one of its kind fossil in the whole world. It's a very well-preserved fossil. It shows a non-dinosaurian predation on a dinosaur. It shows that, yes, there were other animals other than dinosaurs existing at that time. And it also showed that, they were being eaten up by other animals also. So it's a very good example. And in the international level, this particular fossil holds a lot of importance. And the name they gave it to this particular snake was Sanaje indicus. Sanaje means wide gape, and indicus is from the Indian subcontinent. So these are the three main fossils from Balasinor: the Rajasaurus, the Raiyoli, the Sanaje indicus. And of course, we have the distinction of it being the third largest dinosaur.
So I remember that you mentioned to me that when you were a child and before you learned how to write, you could actually spell Diplodocus.
Yes.
So how did 5 million year old reptiles become such a passion for you?
So there's this interesting anecdote which my mother relates, that when I was around 4-5 years old, she had hired a tutor for me to teach me basic arithmetic and English before I was shipped off to the boarding school. So instead of learning D for dog, I was learning D for dinosaur, which is very surprising because उस वक्त हमको किसी को पता ही नहीं था कि यहाँ बालासिनोर में dinosaurs के अवशेष मिले हैं या anything to. No one was aware about dinosaurs because we were not at all exposed to it. We had no internet, we had no movies as the Jurassic Park and all. So वो पता नहीं मुझे क्यों ये dinosaurs से इतना fascination था. And yes, at that age of 5 years, I could spell Brontosaurus and Diplodocus, which is again very surprising. So like my family, my friends and all nowadays, they keep telling me that maybe it was your calling, it was your passion in life. वो कुछ previous जन्म में शायद तुम खुद dinosaur होगी. I don't know what it was. But I myself, I'm quite surprised. I'm trying to find the answers. What was that fascination at the age of 5 years that I was so fascinated with dinosaurs and, I could spell it and everything. But I do believe that, yes, probably it was my calling that in the future, I would be so much associated with dinosaurs or I would take up this cause of these dinosaurs, which were virtually found in my backyard, so as to speak. And I wanted to do something for the village of Raiyoli. which at one point of time used to belong to the state of Balasinor. It came under the state of Balasinor. तो मुझे लगा कि मुझे कुछ करना है ये लोगों के लिए कि it was a very backward area and a lot of tourists were coming, but there were no tourist facilities as such. जो tourist को एक facilities चाहिए वो नहीं थी. So setting up this museum with Gujarat tourism has helped us quite a lot because we have managed to give employment to at least 30 of the villagers. Fantastic. So we have actually brought employment to the very doorstep of these villagers. We have not uprooted them and taken them to a city or anywhere else. We have brought employment to their very doorstep. And in the coming years, we are also doing the phase 2 of the museum. So I think that also will give employment to more people in the area.
Amazing. Yeah. Thank you. It's so interesting to learn about all these amazing things that, and then in not far from Madhya Pradesh at all, Gujarat is not far and it's, we have this history in India which we don't even know of, and now we are getting to know so much about it through you. Thank you so much for that. I remember this story that you mentioned. Once an elderly woman asked you, why do you want to starve those who are alive for the dead from a million years ago? How did you reply?
You see, the fossil park, what we call the fossil park, is actually it's a very vast area. It's like a plateau, and scattered across the plateau, you have these outcrops of rocks where in these rocks you find these fossilized remains. So for a layman like anyone, when you go to the park on your own, it's very difficult to identify what's the real fossil. Because as a layman, आपको तो यही लगेगा कि ये तो पत्थर है. So that's where my job comes in, to identify what's a fossil and what's a rock. So these 72 hectares, हमने, with the help of the government, we managed to barricade it. So it was again a very humongous and a very difficult task to actually barricade 72 hectares. अब यहाँ पे problem ये हुआ कि जो 72 hectares की हम बात कर रहे हैं, वो एक ज़माने में it used to belong to the state of Balasinor. So my grandfather had given it to the village of Raiyoli for grazing. So the villagers used to graze the cattle there. So वो ज़माने से वही करते आ रहे थे. अब जब हमने वो पार्क को बैरिकेड कर दिया, तो villagers को तो ये वो पसंद नहीं आया कि भाई ये where will our animals go? What will they eat? Because they were the grazing grounds. So they used to break the fencing. They used to break the barbed wires and put the animals inside. So animals का क्या था कि with the hoofs and all, they were actually walking on the fossils. So over a period of time, all those fossils were being washed away. Even of course, the weather plays a very important role. In the degradation. But at the same time, the animals and humans also they contributed to the the decline of the fossils, to the fossils getting all eroded and all. So I used to appeal to the villagers that don't take your animals inside the park. You want to cut grass, you cut the grass from there and you go and feed your animals. But I think that was slightly difficult task for them, so they were not relenting. So one day when I was at the fossil park with some tourists and this one old woman who was quite obstinate and she used to never listen, so every time she used to put her animals inside. So one day I just told her, I said, you should not be doing this because tomorrow if the forest comes to know that you are doing this, they may take some legal action against you. So she said, why are you killing my live animals for your dead animals? Because here you see, first and foremost, the villagers were also ignorant. First and foremost, they did not know what are dinosaurs. So you had to explain to them what is dinosaur. So when you explain to them, they're dead. They're gone long ago. So why, so why are you making such a ruckus about something which is dead so many millions of years ago? And these are mere rocks. So it was very difficult to convince these people. Then, I actually made this woman sit down on that very rock and I explained to her that, see, we are trying to protect this because we are going to try to bring in a lot of tourists here. Once tourists start coming in, it is going to be beneficial for you because your youth are going to get employed. She was not very much convinced at that point of time. And luckily today, she's no more, but one of her grandson is in the museum. Wow. He's working in the museum. Yes.
Yeah, that's amazing.
What I Yeah, so what I had tried to explain to her, we tried to fulfill it to a certain extent. So yes, it was just not her. There were a lot of other people also over the years that we had to convince them that please don't break the barricades. Don't put your animals inside. Even today we allow them. We tell them please go and cut the grass. Take as much as grass as you want. There's no stopping you. And they were also like, they used to come to me and say, तुम्हारे दादा ने दिया था और तुम हमसे ये छीन रही हो. So that also happened to quite a lot, and I had to convince them that why I was doing it. So yes, but I did have a lot of support also from the villagers. Some of the village elders, they were very supportive. But at the point of time, they also were frustrated because कुछ ज़्यादा काम नहीं हो रहा था. जितनी speed से होना चाहिए था, वो नहीं हो रहा था. You see, it's taken me 26 years to actually get this place duly recognized.
Yeah. Amazing. Yes, it's fascinating. Thank you, and thank you for all the hard work that you've put in over the years, and it's just humbling actually to see someone with such passion, and it inspires us all, to be honest, because it tells us about how if we have a dream and if we have something that we hold dear to our heart, I think it's really important to pursue that. There's one thing I really am excited to hear about, and that is the Silbatte ki Tahani. Please. I absolutely love that, and I would love to hear it again. Do tell me.
Yeah, so once I was with some paleontologists, only geologists. We were walking around in the not exactly in the park, but some of the villages surrounding the park. So you have these small little hamlets and all. And we just stopped by for having tea at one of the huts, and there was this piece of rock lying on this seal, and we were actually, in fact, the discussion also, it's a very big coincidence. You see, there are a lot of coincidences in my life, and this was one of the very good ones, in fact. So lying on this piece of rock was this round rock, and the discussion that I was having with the paleontologist was on how dinosaur eggs are used. So you see, in a lot of villages, especially in Madhya Pradesh, which is more or less bordering Gujarat. So in these tribal villages, and especially in these tribal homes, you have these villagers who are actually using these dinosaur eggs. They are worshipping the dinosaur eggs because they consider them as shivlings. And this was one of the reasons they worship the dinosaur eggs. And secondly, because these eggs belong to a massive creature, a huge creature, which is like, they feel it's a dragon and all that. And they feel that dinosaurs are still alive and they'll come and harm them and eat up their crops and damage their crops and all that. So to keep them calm and keep them, shanti se rakhne ke liye, inki ye puja karte hai. So in a lot of villages in Madhya Pradesh, you have small little temples dedicated to dinosaurs. So you have these dinosaur eggs jahan pe कंकु लगाया है, दिया अगरबत्ती है, प्रसाद चढ़ाया है. In fact, this has been documented even in Discovery and in a lot of books also. So I was being told by these geologists about these dinosaur eggs being worshipped and all. So I am a very curious person. So that curiosity in me made me just go and pick up that piece of rock, and I just examined it, and it was all covered with chilies. So I washed it in the bucket of water which was lying there, and I told sir, I said, see, I can see some shell on it. So after washing it very carefully, I showed it to sir. I said, see. So he was like, I said, no, you can see it. So we washed it very carefully, and lo and behold, it was actually a dinosaur egg, which this woman was actually using it to grind her masala. So वो एक बट्टे की तरह उसको use कर रही थी. And because it was all covered with chilies, I very lovingly gave it a name, masala egg. And when we talk of masala egg, I'm going to show it to you. So this is the surprise for all of you, the Begums of Bhopal. This is the masala egg.
Oh my God.
So what I'm holding in my hand is actually a fossilized egg of a dinosaur. It's an egg of a carnivore. It's a carnivore egg. And this is a part of the shell which has got eroded.
fantastic. That's just
Yeah.
brilliant.
So if you're coming to Gujarat anytime, you are going to do a tour with me, you will get to hold this egg in your hand.